Okay.
We're here tonight at the Montgomery County Historical Society Lane Place, interviewing another one of the Vietnam veterans from our series. And tonight, in February 2002, we're talking with Mearil, Snork, Martin. And Mearil, let me ask you a little... Mearil.
Right.
Okay. Mearil, let me ask you a little bit about your nickname, Snork.
Okay.
Where does that come from?
Originally, I had a cousin who wanted to call me Cork, and my mom and dad said no. Said, you name your first son Cork, and we'll call him Snork. So that's what they did. I've had that since birth.
Did it follow with you to Vietnam? And
yes, it did.
Yeah. So everybody knows you as Snork.
Even now.
Even now. Okay. Tell us a little bit about where you grew up. Where were you born?
I was born at Winchester Hospital. I lived in a little small town in Wayne County called Fountain City, north of Richmond, Indiana.
Okay.
And I moved to Crawfordsville when I was 10 years old. Lived on the east side of town, Grace Avenue. Grew up there and graduated from Crawfordsville High School.
Okay. Why did the family move to Crawfordsville?
My father worked for International Harvester in Richmond, and they closed that plant there. So they come to Crawfordsville and work for some Metalcraft.
What year was that?
1958.
1958, you moved to Crawfordsville and then spent the rest of the time here.
Right.
Went to
John Beard Grade School.
John Beard, and then
Went to
Tuttle
Tuttle Junior High.
Crawfordsville. Did you have any relatives who were in the military at some point? Father, grandfather?
Sure did. I had two cousins. I had a brother. I don't know. My father wasn't in, and I don't know about my grandfather. I don't think he was.
So your brother was in the military?
Yes.
In Vietnam?
No, he was in Korea.
Oh, okay. How much older?
He's 18 years older than me.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about what life was like at Crawfordsville High School.
Fun. Had a lot of fun in high school. Dating, cars,
Play any sports?
I did in my younger years up until I was about a sophomore. Then I ended up getting a job.
Where did you work?
Standard Grocery. I worked at Standard Grocery. Started out as a sack boy, worked up to stock crew. Then right before I left to go to service, I was a produce major.
Ah, okay. Brother in Korea, when he came back, did he tell stories?
No.
Didn't?
Not at all.
Really?
Not at all.
Did you ever ask him about the experience?
No, I didn't. I just knew he was in Korea in a war, and I was so young, I never really thought much about it.
Do you remember the family sending letters to him, or, I mean?
Yes, some. Like I say, I wasn't very old. I'm trying to think how old I was. Maybe 4, 5, 6 years old. I was born in 47, so Korea was what, 50, 51?
Right,
so
exactly.
I wasn't very old,
early 50s.
but I can remember, the letters.
Yeah, okay. How soon after you graduated from Crawfordsville High School did you enter the military?
I graduated in May and got drafted in September.
Okay,
September 14th.
So this would have been what year?
1967.
1967.
No, I take that back. 1966.
Okay. Graduated from high school.
Got drafted in the fall of 66.
So it was draft, not enlistment.
That's right.
While you were in high school, did you know anything about Vietnam? Had you read anything?
Read about it. I had a neighbor across the street that was in Vietnam. As a matter of fact, he was killed in Vietnam.
He was? Who?
Dick Lynch.
Dick Lynch?
Mm-hmm.
So his name's on the wall in Washington, D.C. Yes. When you got your draft notice, what were you feeling at that point?
I knew that it was coming my senior year if I didn't go to college. And of course, I had a fearful feeling about it because I knew it was coming. And after I got my draft notice, it was like, would I come back or would I not come back?
Thinking back to the people you graduated with from high school, any other people from your class who enlisted or got drafted?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There were several. Two good friends enlisted in the Navy. And I thought about doing that, and some reason I didn't. So I went over to check where I was at on the draft list at the Selective Service Office, and I was that was in August, and I was due to go in October. So I said, "Could you get me in on the next one?" And they did, September.
Where was the Selective Service Office?
Downstairs at the post office
Okay.
at that time.
Were you upset about going?
No, not at all. I wasn't upset. I was just scared.
Okay. You left Crawfordsville. Kind of walk us through where you went once you left Crawfordsville.
Okay. Well, I got on the bus in front of the post office.
Along with a few other guys from
Yeah, a
Crawfordsville.
few other guys, yeah, going to Indianapolis to be sworn in and all. Went over there, was there most of the day, then we hopped on another bus, went to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
So you took a bus all the way from Indianapolis to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
That's right.
Where in Indianapolis were you sworn in? Do you remember?
It was on Washington Street, but I can't remember the address. East Washington Street, I'm not sure the address.
Was it a military selective
Yes.
service
Yes.
building?
Yes, there
Okay.
was a lot of guys there.
Yeah, because I think I took my physical there.
And believe this or not, I'll add this to this. We went up to be sworn in, we got sworn in, and there was a sergeant there, or a captain or someone, I can't, that's kind of vaguely remember. And he counted off, 1, 2, 3, every man, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And believe it or not, every number 3 man was drafted into Marines at that time.
Really?
Yes.
And that's really unusual
Yes.
because the Marines normally didn't draft. So were you feeling glad that you weren't drafted?
I've heard stories about the Marines, yeah, but I had no feeling about that. I mean, I was ready to go. You know, I knew I was going, I was ready to go.
So you arrive in Fort Leonard Wood, then what happens when you get off the bus?
All hell broke loose. Hopped off the bus, and of course there was a drill sergeant there to meet us. Started barking, you know, just bark, bark. Right on your heels, you know, you got information, they told you what was going to happen. You went in and got a haircut, you went through the supply building. And of course, when I went through the supply building, when you done that, you come back and got information again. Well, they asked you if you had everything. They asked you if you had your blankets, your pot, your you know, everything, your fatigues, everything. Well, of course, I missed my blanket and one other item. And I wish I had never done that. Right then, I knew. The drill sergeant got on me. He ran me back to the supply building. I mean, literally, ran right behind me, barking all the way. Called me a scumbag, all kind of names, you know. And finally, I picked it up and got back in formation, and we went through basic training.
6 weeks, 8 weeks, was it?
8 weeks.
8 weeks basic training, Fort Leonard Wood, September, so the weather was okay,
Yes,
right?
at that time, yeah.
Kind of describe a typical day in basic training.
Well, a typical day. There was no typical day. Every day was different. I mean, you might get up at 4 in the morning, you might get up at 1 in the morning. They say they guarantee you, I think, 4 hours of sleep, 6 hours of sleep at night. Yeah, you might get that, but it might be 1 hour at a time, you know, intervals.
Sure.
But whenever you got up, made formation. They called roll, reveille, and all this, you know. And then you went to the mess hall, which they told you get a little time to eat. Once you got in there and got your plate, you're supposed to be back in formation. They told you to get up and out. You know, eat it and get out. So usually you didn't get to eat, you know. Sometimes you did, sometimes you didn't get to eat everything.
Did you have to line up and do either push-ups or pull-ups to get into the mess hall?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
I know some people did, but
Yeah.
I never did.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was the timing that I went through basic or what, but we done that, then we hit the push-ups,
Sure.
calisthenics and all that stuff.
Were you a squad leader or anything in basic?
No, I was a fireman.
So you shoveled coal.
That's it, yeah.
I did the
And I
same
didn't
thing.
volunteer for that either.
I didn't either. I did exactly the same thing. So describe what it was like to be a fireman.
Well, you know, it's kind of cool. You get out all the other duty, you know, you didn't have to pull KP and you didn't have to go out on the marches a lot of times with the guys. You didn't get out of all of it, but you got out of some of it.
Right.
But you were up all night. You fired the coal furnaces and all the barracks, the orderly room. And I think we had the main, I don't know if he was a general or a colonel or what, his office. Well, I'll tell you a little story about that. I'd done that. done pretty good for a while, you know. Then along about the third or fourth time I'd done it, I was on duty to be a fireman. I let the fire go out in the orderly room. Boy, that was another time I caught it. I had to stay up all the next day and all the next night, shoveling coal and shoveling cinders. So you didn't want to let the fire go out in the barracks or anything, or the orderly room or any of the buildings.
What was the best part of basic training?
Best part? Probably the leave and going to the PX. You know, you didn't get that right away. It took a while before you got any kind of...
So you get to go drink some of that 3-2 beer?
Alcohol was not permitted in basic at all.
Really?
Yes. Now, if you were on leave, like after basic, when you went on leave for your 30-day furlough,
Right.
you know, it was on your own.
So, Mearil, at the time you're 18, 19?
Yes.
18 years old.
Yes.
Most of the guys in your platoon in the barracks are about your age. Were there any older guys?
There were some older guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a few.
Any college graduates in your
Yes,
group?
sure did have some. As a matter of fact, I had one fellow with me that played for the University of Wisconsin football team at one time. He got injured, ruined his career, and he decided to join the Army. And you would have thought he would in as a second lieutenant or something, but he didn't. He went through, like the rest of us, started out as a private, you know.
So you also got to go out to the firing range, fire M16 at the time, or using them?
M14.
M14s
Yes.
in basic training.
Right. Well, I'll tell you a little story about that.
Okay.
I carried an M14 all the way through.
Really?
No, yes. I was one of the lucky ones.
You didn't like those M16s?
And I'd heard too many stories about them.
So out of choice you carried an M14, or your unit?
We had our choice.
Okay.
We had our choice in the unit I was with.
Yeah. So you go through your 8 weeks of basic. About a day before you're to get out of basics, did they come in with your orders for where you were going to go next?
Yes, we went to advanced technical training.
Okay.
And mine was in Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
And what was the training in?
Artillery.
You were an artillery
Right.
guy. Okay. How many weeks was your advanced training?
I think it was 8 more weeks, if I remember correctly. I'm sure it was 8 weeks.
Did you have a leave between your basic and
Yes.
the advanced?
Yes.
30
days.
You came home to Crawfordsville?
Right.
What was it like coming home, being in the Army, wearing your uniform?
I can remember, of course, I outgrew all my clothes while I was in basic, so I wore my uniform to Crawfordsville High School basketball game. And I can remember that game pretty well, you know. A lot of the old guys, you know, that underclassmen at that time come up and shook my hand and stuff. Even some of the ball players did, you know, and wished me well, things like that. Had a good time.
So that made you feel
I had a
good?
steady girlfriend too and stuff like that.
Okay. So that made you feel good?
Yes,
You were feeling
yes,
positive
Yes.
about the experience. What did your parents feel
Okay,
about this?
all I had was a father. My mother died when I was a junior in high school.
Oh, okay.
So Dad never really said a whole lot. He wished me well, but he never really.
No heart-to-heart talks?
Not
or-
really. No, not really.
Okay.
Not
And
really.
your brother by then was
Gone. He
gone.
lived out, you know. But I had another brother and sister here in town too. So, but like I say,
Younger?
we were real close.
Were they young?
They were all older than me.
Oh, okay. So they're all. So you go back to Fort Sill. Describe a little bit about your.
It was
advanced
it was a
training.
little more lenient than basic was. You still had to make reveille, and you had to go out for your training. And if you had bivouac or anything, you had to go out with the, you know, all the time with them. It wasn't like you could just come and go as you please, but
Right.
they weren't as rough on you as like the drill sergeant.
Sure.
Basic.
Sure.
So we went to the field with the guns and things like that.
So what was the job you were training for in an artillery?
Well, in artillery, you learn all the jobs.
Okay.
Everything there is to do on an artillery piece. I mean, you gotta be able to fire the gun. You gotta be able to, move the gun. You gotta be able to set coordinates. Just all jobs.
What types of artillery were you learning on?
At Fort Sill.
Fort Sill.
155 howitzers.
Okay. What's the range on a howitzer like that?
Like that, I think probably around 7 mile, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
So
That's a guess. Don't quote me on
yeah.
that.
So how many people together in a team firing a howitzer?
Like a gun
Yeah.
crew.
Yeah.
On our gun crew, in basic, we had like 12 or 13, 14 guys.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Or not in basic, but in AIT.
Right. Okay. What were you thinking? Were you sure you were going to end up in Vietnam, or did you hold out hope you'd end up in Germany, or?
Oh, you held out hope. I was hoping Hawaii.
Everybody did.
Yes. No, you was hoping that you'd be one of the few that didn't have to go to Vietnam.
The instructors there, most of them had been in Vietnam?
Yes.
And so what, did they talk to you about their experiences?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's basically basic training. They
Yeah.
let you know what you're going to go through. But AIT, it wasn't that I don't know what you'd say, not that tough, you know.
Right.
They told you what you might see and what you might not see. But
Yeah.
it wasn't like in basic where they told you you was going to die and all this.
Trying to scare you.
Right. So most of them, yes, had been to Vietnam. I got, some insight on it.
Sure. Did you develop some good friends in AIT?
Oh, yeah, yeah. There was probably, I'm trying to think, 3 or 4 of us went to the same unit in Vietnam.
In Vietnam?
In Vietnam.
Which is kind of unusual.
Yes, yes,
Okay. So, end of AIT, you get your orders.
yes.
Orders are for Vietnam.
Yes.
Did you get another leave?
Yes.
So this time, how was the leave different from the leave in between basic and AIT?
You kind of seen things in a different light. Just thinking, well, this will be the last time I see, my girlfriend.
Sure.
It'll be the last time I see my dad, my brother, sister, all my friends. You didn't know. You were really on edge. You were tense.
So you leave, you flew out of Indianapolis Airport and flew where? Or how did you get to?
Yes, I flew out of Indianapolis Airport and I flew to Fort Lewis, Washington.
Okay.
That's right south of Seattle.
Right. And how long were you at Fort Lewis?
5 days.
Okay. And during that time, what were you doing?
Just processing, doing more processing, getting shots, things like that. You got a lot in basic, and you got some in the IT, and you got the rest of them right before you flew out.
So then you got on a flight. Was it a commercial jet?
Yes, yes. Northwest Orient.
Okay.
I don't even know if they're in business anymore.
And so you flew from Fort Lewis to where?
Well, we had 2 stops on the way to Vietnam. We stopped once in Alaska to refuel, and we stopped once in the Philippines to refuel. And from there, I flew into Cam Ranh Bay.
Okay. So what date are we talking about? When did you arrive in country?
Okay, February 22nd, 1967.
February 22nd, 1967. Okay, you arrive in Cam Ranh Bay. Initial impression when you got off the plane?
Well, initial impression was it was awful hot, and it was like a musty, hot, kind of steamy smell.
When you were flying in, did they take you over some of the landscape of Vietnam?
Well, yes, but we flew in at night. I mean, couldn't
okay.
really tell where we was at, and there wasn't much light,
Sure. So often when you fly in like that, they'd have a bunch of guys lined up who were getting back on the plane to go back to the States.
Yes.
Did that happen?
Yes.
So did these guys say anything to you as you
Yes.
got off the plane? What did they say?
More or less a laughing gesture, like tough luck, and you knew
Yeah.
that it wasn't going to be pleasant.
And they were probably in old fatigues or were
No, they
clean?
were actually in their, I guess what they call them dress khakis or something
Okay,
like that.
okay.
Yes.
So they're lined up.
Getting back on the plane as we got off.
And so you spent your first night at Cam Ranh Bay.
Yes.
Then what happened the next few days?
You done a little more processing for where you was going to go in country, and you filled sandbags, made a lot of bunkers, Kept busy.
Did they have any attacks on Cam Ranh
Not
you
while
were
I was there.
Okay.
No.
You didn't have to pull guard duty or anything like that?
No, I was there, I think, 2 days. I believe.
Okay. And then you went to your in-country unit, or did you go through in-country training when you got into Vietnam?
No.
So where were you assigned in-country?
Well, I was assigned to the DMZ. I was assigned to B Battery, 6th Battalion, 27th Artillery. But that's another story.
Okay, well tell us.
Okay, they put you on another plane, like a
Caribou or
yeah,
something?
Caribou or something like that. They're going to fly you north. Well, I landed twice in 2 different places, got off the plane thinking I would find my unit there. And first place was Da Nang. It had a big airstrip, so
Right.
we flew into there. And they had no orders on me. They knew nothing. I had my own orders with me, but they had nothing on me. They didn't know where I was supposed to go. So they told me to get on a chopper, and I was supposed to fly to this other place. Of course, me being a green kid, not knowing anything, no weapon with me or anything, I was scared, you know. But I waited in the airport from that morning to that evening, and we got a mortar attack. And I didn't know what to do. I was sitting there in the airport, me and 2 or 3 other guys, and the guy behind the counter said, hit the floor. And there was no French-like building airport, all cement, you know. So we got into these cement, like stools, you know?
Right.
And pretty soon it quit, and the guy said, well, it's all clear, you can get up now. We was looking at each other, we didn't know what happened, you know. But anyway, go back to the story, they put me on a chopper and flew me out in the boonies someplace. And I was, like I say, trained for artillery, and they sent me to a grunt unit, you know, infantry unit. And the guy there said, went to the process, he said, he don't belong here. And the guy, the chopper guy, you know, the guy who got off the chopper with me, whoever it was, co-pilot or whoever, he said, well, where's this 2 or 3 guys go, you know?
Yeah.
Nobody knew where we went.
Right.
So finally, I guess they got it figured out, so they sent us on up to Dong Ha, up by the DMZ.
Ah, Dong Ha. Okay, describe that place.
It was kind of like Da Nang, only wasn't nothing near as big. It had dirt airstrip. And they told us when we got off, that, you know, the chopper, they said, be sure and run to the terminal, which was another block building, cement building, like a French building, because they would take incoming as soon as they landed. And of course we didn't know, you know.
Sure.
So we didn't know, you know, and we did, and sure enough, we started getting mortared. The airstrip started getting mortared. So we ran in there and got under some benches again, and finally it quit. Of course the chopper took off, but we happened to be at the right spot. So anyway, they gave us orders to go on up further to the DMC. We went up to Camp Carroll.
Mm.
And I was trained in artillery in the Army, and I was stationed with the Marines.
So you were with the Marine unit?
3rd Marines on the DMZ.
How many Army guys were there?
There was 1, 2, 3 batteries of artillery with the Marines. That's all that was there. Consisting, each battery probably had 100 guys in it.
Okay.
At the time we flew in.
How did the Marines accept you? Did they accept you as an Army guy?
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
It surprised me, you know. And we really respected the Marines.
Sure.
We really did.
Okay, describe a little bit about Camp Carroll.
Okay, it was a pretty good sized fire base. At that time, it was a little south of DMZ, and it was relatively safe. And they was living in tents, you know. And everything went pretty good for like the first 2 or 3 weeks. The first day I was there, matter of fact, I'm going to go back to this. The first day I was there, I was on the first gun and fired the first shell into North Vietnam. 175 howitzer.
Okay, what's the range on a 175 howitzer?
Up to 30 mile, pretty accurate, probably anywhere from 10 to 15, 17 mile.
What was your target at?
At that time, it was convoys coming south.
So there were forward air controllers or
Yes,
someone
yes.
calling in
Yes.
coordinates?
Planes,
Yeah,
planes like you'd see here at Municipal.
right,
Just
right. Sure,
Piper Cubs and stuff, I guess they were
sure.
sending back coordinates.
So you guys fired the first shells into North Vietnam. After that, how regularly were you firing?
Okay, we fired heavy at night. Daytime, we seldom ever fired unless somebody come under a ground attack or
Right.
got into a firefight someplace, you know, then we fired. But at night, we was firing anywhere from, usually 25 to 50, 75 rounds a night, one each gun.
Yeah, and I mean, they weren't all into North Vietnam.
No.
You were
no.
providing
Supporting
fire
Marines,
support.
yes, and firefights, things like that.
Right, okay,
Or where there was concentration of them enemy.
sure. What were you thinking during the first few weeks?
Not too bad.
Yeah.
You know, I thought this would be okay. But once in a while, we get a mortar or something in, you know, not too often. And as I was there, the longer I was there, the more gradual it picked up.
What kind of perimeter defense was there around?
It was a circle. It was like a fire base, a circle. and we had twin 50s, quad 40s. We had real good firepower on the perimeter. Then guys, we took turns pulling our duty on
So there was a lot of concertina wire and claymores.
Right, right. And you had charge of some of them out in front of you when you got in your foxhole, your little bunker there. You and another guy,
Right.
full guard, and that wasn't fun. That was scary.
So when you were pulling guard, was one guy up and one guy sleeping?
Supposed to.
Supposed. You're smiling. Sometimes both guys were asleep?
No.
No.
No. Both guys were awake.
Because it was pretty scary.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
I mean, you could hear every little sound. And every sound, there was an enemy to you. You
So
know?
that first time you pulled perimeter guard, that was probably scary. Yeah?
Yes, yes. Matter of fact, the first time I pulled, we got a call down that listening post had got overrun, which consists of men going out listening for enemy, contact, around, and they got overran, and these people, Vietnam, I don't know if they were NVA or
VC.
VC at the time. I think they were NVA. Supposedly took their uniforms, was headed our way, and we heard everything. I mean, there was another patrol out that went out that night, and they come back in the next morning. They want to know if we heard the sounds out there in the trees last night. We heard everything.
Yeah.
They said it was monkeys playing the banana trees out there.
Hmm.
So but we never seen any enemy, at that time.
Sure.
So my turn guard was over for a while, and I was glad of that.
So
we did get a ground attack time or two.
Okay, so
Not too often there at Camp Carroll.
You'd spend a night on 24 hours on
No.
just one night.
It was let's see, it was like an 8-hour shift, I believe it was.
Okay.
6 or 8.
How often would you do this? Would you pull this perimeter guard?
Usually about once every 2 weeks,
Okay.
because everyone on the compound took their turn at it.
So in this little bunker that you had with 2 men, you had M60 machine gun,
We had an M50,
M50,
or 50 caliber, and we had, like I say, claymore mines.
M79 grenade
Yes,
launcher.
had a grenade launcher, and we also had of course, we had flares,
Right,
hand grenades.
right.
We were pretty well stocked up on
Okay.
weapons.
During the day, when you guys weren't firing, what was going on?
Okay, we were pulling maintenance on our 175 howitzer, cleaning our rifles, just anything, filling sandbags.
And you mentioned there were 2 guys from AIT who were
Yes.
with you there.
Yes.
So you had sort of a built-in group of friends that.
Yes and no. They were on different guns.
Okay.
So once you was on a gun, once in a while you'd visit, but you didn't have time, and actually the enemy wouldn't give you time to go visit other people like
Right. So you were hanging around with the guys who were on your
that.
gun.
Mostly, yes.
Slept together in tents. Were you
At
tent?
that time. Well, we had bunkers, but we also slept in tents, see. So after a while, like I was saying, it changed after a while.
Right. Mess hall.
We had a mess tent
Mess tent.
at that time.
Hot meals.
Hot meals
all the time.
for a while,
Okay.
a short while.
Okay. And showers.
55-gallon drums, 2 of them welded together, and if you were first, you got a warm shower. If you weren't in the top, up there, maybe the first 10, they refilled it and it was cold water.
Okay, so you're hinting that things changed
Yes.
dramatically. When did they begin to change?
Probably a couple weeks after I got to, 2 or 3 weeks after I got to camp.
Okay, so we're probably into about March now, 1967.
Yes.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, we are in March.
Okay, so what changes?
More incoming, more ground attacks, just more war.
Why? Any sense of
More-
why that was happening?
More NBA infiltrating the South.
So they're coming across the DMZ.
This,
And was your fire base right in the path of
yes.
their entry, one of their entry points?
Let me put this kind of in perspective, okay? We had within probably a 50-mile radius, okay, across the top of North or South Vietnam, we had Con Tien, Rock Pile, Camp Carroll, Dong Hao, and Geo Lin. And we're all fire bases. And it was probably within a 50-mile radius, I'm guessing, okay?
Right.
I'm not sure about that. I'd like to know.
Yeah.
But anyway, they were infiltrating the South, and we were firing convoys, things like that. And of course, they were trying to take us out too, so they could shoot us. That's why.
So, was it primarily Marine ground units
Yes, yes.
in the area?
Up
there. So now you're under more attack during the day also, or just at night?
Mostly at night. Once in a great while, we get a mortar or rocket in the daytime. Not too often.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's more to come.
There's more to come. Okay, so it's sort of at this level for a while, and now
Yes.
then it escalates a little bit more.
At April 1st, it starts escalating.
Okay, April 1st, 1967, escalation to another level.
We moved.
You moved?
Right.
Okay, where did you move?
We moved up on the DMZ, up on the fire break, Jill Lynn.
Okay, now how...
With the Marines.
With the... I mean, how difficult is it to move? Did the whole fire base pick up and move? No.
Our unit went with some of the Marines up to Jill Lynn. Some of them went to Contian. The other battery went to Contian, and the other battery went to Quezon.
So they just kind of disbanded Camp Carroll in terms of a fire base?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
They moved closer to the north.
And what was the thinking there?
Destroying convoys coming south.
Okay. Be easier to destroy.
You could shoot further in the north.
Okay. So now, what are the problems you're encountering at this point?
Okay. Well, of course, we convoyed up there. We had to tear everything up at Camp Carroll, rip all the sandbags open, go on all the bunkers, all the foxholes, everything, destroy everything. We hop on our rides. Some got in the APC, Armored Personnel Carrier. Of course, I was the driver of the 175. I had guys all over the turret and the deck of that, you know. So we convoyed through Da Nang. And, of course, they had road signs up there telling you how far Hanoi was, how far, Hue City was, things like that. So we went on up north and got to our destination, which was Jill Lynn.
Okay. How far was that destination from Hue?
From Hue?
Yeah.
Not far, because we convoyed to Hue.
Okay.
I'm going to say maybe 50 miles.
Okay. How far do you think it was to Hanoi? Any idea?
I'm going to say around, I'm not sure, I hate to even speculate, but maybe 500 to 700 miles.
How close were you to Highway 1?
We were on Highway 1.
You were on Highway 1.
On Highway 1. It ran right through our...
Okay, tell people a little bit about Highway 1, because that's something that a lot of
Okay.
people have heard about.
In the north, they got a lot of convoys coming down Highway 1. And of course, we blocked it off. Our fire base blocked it off, because it ran right through our fire base. A lot of firing into the north on that Highway 1. It was dirt.
It was dirt at that point.
Yeah, it was just like a dirt road, only no gravel.
Right, right.
There was two or three little rivers that ran from Da Nang up to there. It always got blown up. The bridges always got mined. So we'd have to have a mine sweep if anybody went back to Da Nang for supplies or mail or anything like that, ammo, anything like that. And we were hauling the ammo in for a long time. And like I say, it kept getting worse. They had to start airlifting our ammo in after a while. But as far as the highway, it was a dirt path, so
Sure.
it was.
How far were you from Da Nang?
Probably 10 miles.
Okay. So they start airlifting the supplies in. So there was a small dirt airstrip, or did
No.
they just dropped?
Brought in choppers.
They brought it in Chinooks.
Yes.
Did the helicopters get fired on when they were bringing the stuff
Yes.
in? Yeah.
Never did see one get shot.
Really?
Somehow, amazingly, I never did.
Yeah.
I did see some things get shot down, but not a chopper. So I guess we could say that's another
Yeah. Huh.
lucky thing.
Yeah. Okay. Things are becoming more intense.
Yes.
How so?
Okay, now we're getting close to the middle of April, around 15th of April. A lot of regiments in North Vietnam was coming in. we were getting hit hard. I mean, when I talk hard, real hard, we took in over 1,200 rounds, rockets, mortars, some artillery in a 10-hour period.
What were you doing when you were under attack like that?
Okay, when the barrage was coming in, we dove for cover, went in our, well, we had gun bunkers, so we called gun bunkers. It was underground with sandbags and stuff on top.
Did you have some wooden timbers or anything?
Yes, wooden timbers on top.
And then metal on top?
Metal on top, that was sandbags on top of that.
Yeah.
And you never could fill enough sandbags. You was always adding sandbags. Well, anyway, when they were firing, we took cover. There's no doubt about it. But when it lightened up, we got out and had to fire back. And the most scary time, probably, is when you come under ground attack and they're firing the mortars and rockets in on you, and you have to get out to the perimeter. You got to let your gun go because they're right there at the Constantine Wire, and you have to get out there, use your M14 or your M16.
So we're talking night.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's night.
Pitch black.
We've got mortar rounds coming in. They're at the perimeter. You forget firing. You're out there. You're basically an infantry guy.
Yes.
Trying to hold back the people.
You're part of the Marines at that time.
And I mean, how many guys are we talking about on the perimeter trying
On the
to?
perimeter, probably, well, our unit at that time probably had, our battery, we had like maybe 15 guys.
Okay.
Each gun had about 15 guys. Plus you had all the Marines.
Sure.
And you had, of course, the twin 50s, quad 40s, M50 machine guns, 50 caliber machine guns, M60 machine guns. Everybody was out there on the perimeter. There was no one left back. You know, everybody was there fighting ground attack.
So, flares going off.
Yes.
Claymores going off.
Yes.
Calling in some artillery rounds from another fire base?
No,
or?
gunships.
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 What kind of gunships?
Cobras.
Okay. And so they were just,
rockets and, you know.
they were just laying down stuff like
yes,
crazy.
yes. And I'm talking on our perimeter, I'm talking maybe a football field away, 100 yards.
Where the enemy was?
Yes, yes.
Feelings. What are you thinking at this point? Or do you think?
You don't think.
You're just firing that weapon?
It's all
Reflex?
reflex, automatic. I mean, you don't think.
How often was this happening? Every night?
No, not every night. It happened to us there as far as ground attacks probably 3 times at GLN because they found that they couldn't overrun us.
Okay.
At that time we had so much firepower, there's no way.
Okay. How far away was the Cobra unit? They were coming from Da Nang?
Yes, Da Nang. Jets come over, strafing, things like that.
So there were some jet.
Yes.
Got some.
They've done a lot of that mainly in the daytime,
Right.
but there was some at night too.
I mean, obviously NVA regulars coming
Yes,
down,
yes.
but there were probably also VC in
Mixed
the area.
Oh, sure.
Mixed
I'm
in.
Sure, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Could you tell the difference
No.
between
The MBA and
Yeah,
yes,
and the VC.
Yes, yes.
What was the difference?
Well, the NBA had uniforms. They were a fighting unit. They were an army.
Right.
Or the BC, they might have black pajamas
Right.
on, or
Right.
you know, civilian jeans or something like
Right.
we'd wear.
Right.
You never knew.
Right. Sappers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
During this time, you mentioned the three attacks while you're at
Yes.
this fire base. Did they penetrate the inside the base?
Never did.
No.
Never did.
So everybody kind of held them out.
You sure thought they were going to, but
Yeah.
they never did.
Casualties during that point?
Several Marines had a lot more than we did. Of course, there was a lot more Marines than us.
Right.
You know, we had, while I was on the DMC at that time, we lost 6 people
From your
from our our battery.
Your battery.
Which consisted of 4 guns,
right. Okay.
4 175s.
So after one of these attacks, go back. What do you do? I mean,
Well, you just start cleaning up. I mean, you know, for instance, if you wanted me to say this, I don't know if I should or not. It brings back a lot of memories. But for instance, after the attack, we had one guy that caught a 122 rocket right in the
Sure.
chest,
right.
and it took him off the gun. He was pulling the lanyard, man. Took him off the gun, took him back about 100 yards, and exploded. So you went around cleaning up, you know.
And they bring in medevacs at that point?
Yes.
Take out the dead and the
When
wounded?
the firing,
Right.
when the firing ceased. Mainly daytime. It was about daytime when it was over, you know.
So what time at night would these attacks begin?
Oh, they could start anywhere from dark till almost daylight. They could last almost daylight.
Okay, so we're
A lot of times it's between 12 and 2 in the morning.
and then they might go on for 4 or 5 hours, something like that?
Sometimes. Sometimes it would last half hour,
Yeah,
you know.
okay. So you said at some point they stopped because they figured out they weren't going to be able to overrun
Yes.
your group.
Yes.
Did you stay there, move on to another place?
Yes, I'm moving in.
Okay, where'd you move this
Yeah.
time?
And this was kind of a sad day when we moved from there because we were leaving behind the Marines. Of course, they needed our guns in another spot where it was hot.
So you were leaving them without any artillery?
Yes, well, they had 105s,
Okay.
what we call pea shooters, you
Yeah.
know. But no, we were leaving them and going, we were headed down the way and into Ashaw Valley.
Okay.
Now, probably people don't know where that was at, but at that time, as the year went on, that was becoming more and more of a hot spot.
Right.
And Way City was the old imperial capital
Right.
of Vietnam. It was a beautiful city when I went through it.
Tell us about going through that city. What?
Well, we convoyed down we convoyed down to Dong Ha and got on LSDs, I think they were. Put our guns and everything on there, our big guns, our APCs, and they took us down the river, down to Way City. Okay, then you had a dock there, and we undocked there, and of course we went convoyed through the city. And it was a beautiful city. I mean, beautiful. All kinds of monuments and shrines and things, you know.
And the Imperial Palace?
Imperial Palace. Never got close to it, but you
Right,
could see it.
right.
I mean, it was right there, you know, you could see it. And roads were paved. We didn't even know they had paved roads and get it on until we went through there.
Right.
You know, and cement roads, block roads, you know, brick roads. We convoyed through there, went down to Ashaw Valley. And
So how far was that from Way?
probably another 25 mile,
Okay. And you set up a new fire base?
new fire base.
Brand new fire base?
No, there was Marines there waiting on us.
Okay. Describe the layout.
Woods, jungle.
Elevation or?
We sat down in kind of a valley,
Okay.
and there was a mountain that started maybe 500 yards away, started uphill,
Okay.
and all around us. There was a river run through there, and we sat right by the river.
Okay, so what month is this?
This is August.
Okay, this is August 19th.
I remember that because I left my teens in Vietnam.
So you became 20.
20, right.
Did you have a birthday party?
No, I sure did.
Oh, that's good.
No, not really. It was another day.
All right, another day. Did you have a short timer calendar when you were over there?
A short timer?
Calendar?
No, I had a short timer stick.
You had a stick, so you were marking them off?
Yeah,
Put a little notch? Or?
I didn't have a calendar, it was a stick I carried. It was made out of a casing from a mortar,
Mm-hmm.
which was pretty good sized round. And it had a M50 caliber machine gun shell on the end of it. It was all brass. I used to shine it and carry it around. I told the other guys when they got short, I'd give it to them, you know. A lot of people brought them home. But I always made a vow I would give it to the next guy in
Give
line.
it to some other
Ready to
guy.
come home. Yeah, but we even moved after Ashaw Valley, and that was a scary place too. Matter of fact, when we moved from there, that's where they found the underground hospitals and things like that in Ashaw Valley. It was a stronghold north of these troops. But then when we left there, I guess the day we left that evening, the Marines got overran, which consisted of a bunch of guys going to come out with 25 walking under their own fire. That's the rumor we got, the story we got told, you know. But from there, we got back on ships and went down south to Saigon.
So you got back on ships. What were the sizes?
LSDs.
You know, I mean, how big was the river that you?
It was a big river.
What river was this?
I wish I could tell you, I don't know.
Was this the Mekong River?
Well, it was the biggest river
Yeah,
they had.
so probably it.
What they done, they sent us out to the China Sea and sent us down to China Sea.
Oh,
You
okay.
understand? Like I say, I don't know what river it was.
Okay.
But anyway, we went to Long Binh. From Saigon, we convoyed up to Long Binh. They worked on our guns, which they were a mess. They were all tore up.
Okay, so what month are we in Long Binh?
September, middle of September.
What was your impression of Long Binh?
Oh, man, it was nice.
How long were you there?
2 weeks.
So you suddenly had PXs and NCO clubs, beer,
whiskey.
It was,
Hey, we had ice cream.
so it was.
We hadn't had that for 7 months.
It was like being in the States, huh?
Yeah, sure was.
Permanent
Hot
buildings,
meals.
barracks, the whole
Yeah,
thing.
Yeah,
Floor shows? Did you have a floor show while you were there?
couple.
Okay.
It was fun.
Okay. So then you leave Long Binh, and where'd you go?
Convoy out to the Cambodian border, a place called Song Bay. It was right on the Cambodian border. They were coming south, infiltrating to the south.
Coming down through Cambodia and then coming
See,
over.
they quit coming through the north as much because we blocked it off.
Right.
So they started coming south, so they sent us down there.
So
we worked
again-
our way down there
So again, you're blocking
again.
the access
Right.
points.
Right.
And you're right on the Cambodian border.
Yes, right next to Black Virgin Mountain, I guess, as I recall.
So what was life like there?
Not as bad as the DMZ, but it was rough. It wasn't near like the DMZ. We took a lot of mortar and artillery, but nothing like up north. We had a couple of ground attacks. We had an air base there, and the enemy was coming across the airstrips, and we were firing direct fire with our 175s, just the powder rounds, which shot fire. No bullets, no shells in it, just fire out to stop the ground attack. So it was rough too, but it wasn't near as many or as many incoming rounds and things like it was in the DMZ.
Were you with the Army at this point?
I was with, well, yes, I was with the Army. I was with the 7th Cal. Is that what it was? The orange patch with the horse.
First Cav.
First Cal? Okay,
First Air Cav.
It was support men then.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Were they running excursions into Cambodia? They weren't supposed to,
Yes,
right?
sir. We even convoyed in Cambodia.
That was off limits,
I
right?
know. I know.
How far in did you go?
We probably went in 10 mile. Set up overnight, fired support fire for some of the cat.
Who were operating?
Operating in there, yeah, at that
Okay.
time.
Okay. So you've been in country since February 22nd. We're in October. You're about due for an R&R, aren't you?
Yes,
So where'd you go on R&R?
Taipei, Formosa.
By yourself?
No, me and a buddy went.
Okay. So what was that like?
Yes.
How did you get to Taipei?
We flew
From
a prop plane from Long Binh. Went back to Long Binh, got a prop plane out there, flew to Taipei.
Spent a week there.
Yes.
Was it great or?
Oh yeah, we had a good time. What I remember of it, if you know what I mean.
I mean, was it strange? I mean, coming from being out in a combat area,
It was relaxing.
but then within a day you're in civilization again,
Yeah.
in a foreign country.
You just trying to figure a word how to describe it. It was like unreal. You were there and it was peaceful,
People treat you okay?
Sure did. Treated you like a king. Treated you really nice. Really nice.
So then you have to go back. I mean, did the thought ever cross your mind? Gee, I think I'll stay here.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, you would have liked to. You'd like to say, hey, just hop another plane, head to Hawaii or something, or Australia. But no, you knew you had to go back.
Why did you pick Taipei? You could have gone to Hong Kong or to Hawaii or other places.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It just, Formosa just sounded, at that time, that's what it was called, just sounded good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, it just did.
Okay, so then you come back and you go back onto your unit near the Cambodian border.
Okay,
What happens then?
okay. We had, then it was about Thanksgiving. We got a hot meal for Thanksgiving. And I'm going to make a point here that I probably can count on both hands how many hot meals I had all the time I was in Vietnam. That's including Long Binh. Okay. But we had a hot meal for Thanksgiving. Things were about the same. You get some incoming once in a while. Nothing like the North Vietnam, up by the DMZ. It was almost you could say it was a vacation.
Yeah.
To these guys that had been there, it wasn't a vacation. if I can describe it that way. But yeah, you still got, you know, your mortars and rockets and things on you, but it was pretty peaceful. For me, at that time, after coming off the DMZ, and you know, way and all. And finally Tet would come around.
That's right.
And I was a short timer at that time.
So
went through Christmas, and about the same. Everything was about the same until around the 1st of February.
So you've got under a month to go,
Yeah.
and suddenly Tet
I'm a
hits.
short timer, and I'm scared to death.
So what happened for Tet where you were?
A lot of ground attacks, a lot of mortars and rockets. All hell broke loose again. And like I say, I was due to rotate out February 22nd. So that month of February till the 22nd was the longest month of my life.
So the attacks began like February 1st, January 31st?
It was the 1st of February, 1st, 2nd, or 3rd of February.
At the time, did you guys realize that this was coordinated all over the country?
No,
No.
not at the time.
Yeah. And so you're under attack, and you're thinking, I may not make it out of here to get home.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
You know, when you get short, I don't know the best way to describe that. When you come in country, you're scared, you're green, and after you're there a while, along about 6 months after you're there, you get to the place where you didn't care if you made it or not. Then you get down to being a month to go, you get paranoid. No paranoid.
Yeah. How long did the Tet attacks last? Up until you
It was still
left?
going when I left.
Really?
Yes.
They were still going?
Yes.
And by that time, did you know that things were going on all over the country?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we knew that at that time.
And had you heard about the attack on the embassy in Saigon?
Yes, and we heard about
Way
and Quezon.
Yeah.
Quezon.
Okay, so you're about to leave. Looking back on that 12 months, what was the worst moment of it?
April 22nd, 10 o'clock, about, what do they call that? 10 o'clock at night. I'm trying to think of Army time. I can't even think of it.
2,200 hours.
Okay, 2,200 hours. Everything was twos. Like, you know, of course, April, then 22nd, 2,200 hours.
Right.
There was 3 of us named Martin in our unit. One was on gun 3, one was on gun 4, and the other one was on gun 2. I was on gun 3. The guy on gun 2, the Martin on gun 2, which really wasn't his real name, I come to find out. They called him Marty and always took it as being Martin. It was Charles Leonard was his name. He got hit with a direct, that's the one I was telling you about.
Right.
He got hit direct with a,
Right.
that was my worst moment and day in Vietnam.
Right. Dealing with that, I mean, physically and emotionally and psychologically. Did that image stick with you?
Forever.
Yeah.
It'll always be there.
Yeah. Right.
It'll always be there. I mean, there was other things too.
Sure.
But that was the most severe moment that sticks out.
Right. What was the best moment in Vietnam?
Oh, we had some good times too. I mean, we'd be getting hit or something, you know, mortars coming in and stuff. You know, we'd run into gun bunkers, we'd light the candles, start playing cards. You know, we had fun.
Yeah.
You know, we made it fun. It
Yeah.
wasn't fun looking back, but we made things fun.
Sure.
Burning rats. We had 55-gallon drums around there, and we'd pour some diesel fuel in there and catch rats and throw them in it and tip it over and watch them run around. Now that sounds cruel, but that was our fun.
Sure. Sure.
And we lived in trenches most of the time on the DMZ anyway, and the rats would run through them trenches by people and everything. You know, that was humorous to us.
Did you get a lot of letters from home?
Yes, a lot. From my girlfriend.
What would they write to you about?
Just things that they were doing,
Sure.
what was going on.
Did they talk at all about, you know, by late 67, early 68, a lot of protests taking place back
No, not at that time.
Yeah.
See, I had no idea there was any protests going on at that time.
Okay. When you wrote home, what did you write? When you wrote to your girlfriend, what
I
did
didn't
you
write anything, what I want to put, cruel or bad. I just wrote and told her how much I loved her and I missed them. things like that.
And maybe a few details of what was going on.
Where I was at.
Yeah.
Where I was at. I wrote probably more to my brother about the details.
Because he
Not real
understood.
bad. I didn't put everything, but more to him than I did my girlfriend or
Sure.
anybody else.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so date of departure arrives. You take a helicopter from the fire base.
Okay, I left the fire base 2 days before departure from the
Okay.
country. Departure from country. Took a helicopter ride. That was fun. Went down to Long Bend again. Went through processing. Took 2 days to process out. Ready to come home.
And so you flew out of Benoit?
Yes. Benoit. That's right.
So this time, you're standing there
Right.
as the new guys are coming off, right?
I think I had a different attitude than the guys leaving when I came in. I think I seen more than a lot of them did.
Right.
And I felt sorry for them.
Yeah.
I still feel sorry for them.
Right.
Even to this day, I don't know if they made it or not,
Right.
or even the guys that went. I feel like that every veteran that went should have had some kind of counseling when they come back.
Sure. You gave your short timer stick to somebody.
Yes.
Who'd you give it to?
A guy named Ron Becker.
Out on the fire base.
Yes.
How much time did he have left?
He had a month to go.
So, you think he passed it on?
Well, I don't know. I'm sure he probably did. A lot of guys kept them though. I mean, they mean
Yeah.
a lot to a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know. I had an M1 carbine. I got off of a person, a corpse. I even give it I didn't bring anything home.
Nothing. No.
I brought some pictures home, but nothing.
No souvenirs.
Nothing gory or anything like that.
Okay. So you fly out of Benoit. Where'd you stop on the way back?
Let me tell you about getting on the plane.
Okay.
That's okay. We get on board.
Commercial airline.
Commercial TWA.
Stewardesses.
Yes. Giving you drinks, anything you wanted. Got on that. Started taxiing down the runway. Made the turn. Revved the engine. Started to take off. First song to come on. Up and away. And they kept us informed where we was at. And when we left Vietnamese airspace, all hell broke loose on the
Everybody's clapping and cheering.
Oh yeah. Fantastic.
Did you know anybody on the plane?
Yes, I did.
Really?
I knew 2 guys who went over with me.
2 guys that went over, who were from who had stayed with.
Basic NAIT. Yes, there was 4 of us who went over. I had 3 other friends.
So did you guys talk on the plane?
Yeah, we vowed to always keep in contact. You know, things
Yeah.
like that.
So where'd you stop on the way back?
On the way back, we stopped at I think the Philippines and Guam. I think.
Okay.
Does that sound right?
Yeah, it does.
We didn't go to Alaska again. It was
Right.
2 islands. You know.
And you didn't go to Hawaii?
Yeah. Yes, we did. That's right.
Philippines
and Hawaii.
and Hawaii.
That's right.
And then did you come into Oakland, Travis Air
Oakland.
Force Base?
Travis. That's right.
And then you went to the Oakland Army Terminal to out process.
Yes.
So what was that like?
It was fine.
Did you get your steak dinner?
No.
No steak dinner.
No. I didn't take time to eat a steak. I hopped on the first bus to the terminal, the airport, San Francisco International.
Okay, so how long were you at Oakland Army Terminal?
Maybe 4 hours, maybe at the longest.
Got a dress uniform, turned in all your stuff, got your dress uniform.
We come back in our khakis, our dress khakis.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, at this point, were you getting out of the military?
No.
Oh, you had time left.
6 months to go.
6 months to go.
Mhm.
So where were you scheduled to go to?
Okay, I flew home, had to leave, and I had to go to Colorado, Fort Carson, Colorado.
Fort Carson. You could have extended a couple of months in Vietnam, right?
I could have extended, yes.
And then gotten out of the military.
Yes.
Did that thought
No.
you were going to get out of it?
I was going home.
You were going
I
home.
was coming home, back to USA.
Okay. Family knows you're coming. Flew into Indianapolis. Did they meet you at the airport there?
Yes, I called home, and the funny thing is, I called home, and my girlfriend was in Indianapolis. So they called her, and she come clear back to Crawfordsville, and they all got together and come to get me. I was there from 4 in the afternoon till about 8 that night,
Waiting for
waiting for them.
Okay.
Yeah. And nobody recognized me.
Do you have your uniform on?
Yes.
Anybody say anything to you when you're sitting in that airport in your uniform?
Nothing.
I mean,
Not at Oakland, not at any.
you know,
nothing.
you hear some stories about some of the guys
Yeah,
coming
but I
back.
think I was there a little earlier than most of those people.
Yeah.
See, really, the protests really didn't start hitting heavy until probably 69, 70.
Yeah. So we're talking February '68 here.
Yes, yes.
Okay, it's just beginning to gear up. Come back, spend 30 days.
Mm-hmm. Leave.
What did you do on leave? I mean,
Got married.
you got married.
Yeah. Me and my girlfriend were engaged while I was
Yeah.
in Vietnam.
Okay.
Yeah, I got married. She went back to Colorado with me for about a time.
Was that a tough 30 days? I mean, to get married, to come right out of the
It was
military?
real tough because we were going to break up. I just told her, that's fine, I understood, you know. I went home, getting ready to leave. She called me and said, no, I'm going with you, I want to get married. So we had to hurry and plan everything. We had a church wedding, a reception in the basement of the church, you know.
Right.
And it worked out good.
Okay, so you end up at Fort Carson. What were you doing there?
I was artillery.
Okay.
Again, I really didn't have to do any duty. I'd come in, make reveille, and get the people up in the barracks. I lived off base, and that's about all I had to do.
Were there many Vietnam vets on the base at that
There
point?
was a few.
Did you guys talk at all?
We got together at
Yeah.
EM clubs and things like that.
So, were you running? Were there some AIT units there, or it was just a base? And
There was people there that never had to go to Vietnam.
Okay.
They got lucky,
Yeah.
but they were in AIT training, so we would go with them to train. And of course, everything in training is nothing compared to what you do in Vietnam.
No
You
relation.
go by the book here.
Yeah.
You didn't go by the book there.
Yeah.
You know.
So you finish out your six months, get out of the army. Did you think at all about making the army a career? Or?
I would have if it hadn't been for Vietnam, I think. I really did. I enjoyed the army once I got back.
Yeah. But there was just, I mean, the thought that you might have to go back again?
No, I didn't want to go back.
Yeah.
I know some people did, but not me.
Yeah.
Of course,
Okay.
I got married and I,
Right.
was ready to settle down.
So then you come back to Crawfordsville after you're out of the military?
Yes, we did.
And where did your life go after?
Well, when I first got back out of the army, I took a couple, 3 or 4 days off, and then I started job hunting. And I think I had a job within 2 weeks after I started. I wasn't in any hurry. Started at Kroger as an apprentice meat cutter.
You've been there ever since?
Been with Kroger ever since. 33 years.
So you're back in, start a family at some point?
Yes.
How many children do you have?
5.
5.
5 children.
Oldest?
33. Youngest is 18, a senior this year at North Montgomery.
Okay. First couple of years, tough?
Tough.
Why?
Well, financially, with starting a family, and I didn't realize that I was under much stress. I'm not proud of it, but I lost a lot of friends, and my wife has to be a strong woman to put up with me the way I was.
The West Central Vietnam Vets group, there weren't any support groups
No.
at all?
Even after they started, I guess they were started, I never even knew there was one.
Yeah.
And after a while, a guy come and invited me to go to a meeting with him, and I did.
So, I mean, hard to put the images out of your mind of what you had gone through in
Yes.
Vietnam.
Oh, I couldn't. There was
Yeah.
no way.
Yeah.
Nightmares, I had the
Yeah.
whole thing.
Yeah.
I had it all.
At some point, did you think, gee, I need to talk to someone about this?
No, I thought I could handle it.
Yeah.
I always thought I could handle it.
Yeah.
You have your ups and downs. You get into a low, you go through it, then you start coming up again,
Right.
And I just thought it was part of it, and I'll be okay. I can work myself out of this.
Did you know any other Vietnam vets in Crawfordsville?
Sure.
Yeah.
I knew some, but never really
Yeah.
talked to them or anything, much.
So when did you actually join the West Central Vietnam Veterans Association?
Well, I can't tell you exactly. I think they were the group started probably a couple years before
Okay.
I joined.
So we're probably talking late 70s, early 80s here?
Yes.
Okay.
Probably, yeah.
And you go there and see a lot of other Vietnam vet begin to talk at that point with some of those guys?
Somewhat. It really wasn't a war thing, you
Yeah,
know?
right.
We just got together and had our meetings and planned what we was going to do, like bean suppers.
Sure.
And maybe try to help someone out if they needed help. It wasn't really a group to go and say, well, I've done this in the war, I've done that.
Sure, right.
We done it little, you know, we told everybody,
Right.
each other what we done and where we was at.
Have you been to the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C.?
Yes, I went with the group the first time.
What year was that?
I think it was 84.
Okay.
I'm thinking it was.
So soon after it was dedicated in
Yes,
82?
yes.
You
I
guys,
wasn't there for the dedication, but it was
Right.
soon after that.
So how many people went from the group?
Well, there was probably 8 or 10 of
Okay.
us went.
What were your feelings when you first saw it?
Oh, bad.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because it
Real
brought back
emotional.
all the memories?
all real emotional.
Yeah.
You know, you look at the book and you look up names and you start down that path, you know, down the wall there, and it's like them guys jump out at you.
Yeah.
You know.
Did you go and look for
Oh, yeah.
particular names? Did
Yes.
you make rubbings? Or?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. So that was really tough. And that guy back on the artillery piece that took a direct hit, he looked up
Yes,
his name.
I have a rubbing at home.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Have you talked to your kids about your experiences? Have they
You know,
asked?
I have kinda, more so my younger one than the others.
The one who's going to graduate from high
Yes, he
school?
took more of an interest in
Right.
it than the older ones, I
Sure.
think. I think the older ones knew probably that I didn't want to talk about it,
Mhm.
where now I can open up a little more.
Sure. Has your youngest son read some books or seen some films?
Yes.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, before I come down for this interview this evening, I said, well, I have an interview with, you know, and I was telling him about it, and he said, oh, that's for the show, we once were soldiers. I said, no. I said, no. But he said, Dad, we just talked about it at school. He said that they interviewed live Vietnam veterans for that show. And see, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and the show's coming out in first of March, I
yeah.
think.
I'll have to see it. But no, he knew about that. So,
Yeah, yeah.
and he asked me about that.
So he has an interest. Did your wife ever ask you about it? She didn't.
No. She knew something was wrong.
Yeah.
I wasn't the same.
Okay. So at this point in your life, where are you with your relationship with Vietnam?
Much better. Much better. Actually, I'm going to counseling. I have been for 2 years. Things are better in my private life, and the Vietnam thing, it doesn't jump out at me like it used to. I'm sleeping better at night. I'm getting more social,
Sure.
more active socially and things like that.
So what do you attribute this to? Just talking through the experiences, letting go some of those feelings?
Not knowing how to let it go.
Yeah.
Come home, you kept it all balled
Right.
up inside until you exploded.
Right. And that was so typical of so many Vietnam veterans.
You know, you put all this stuff in a backpack, you keep putting it in
Right.
there, and after a while, you just can't, there's no room for it anymore. So this has taught me how to cope with
Sure.
that, and by doing so, it's not that knife-cutting, edge that.
Now when you read the newspaper and see the films of what's going on in Afghanistan, how does that strike you? How do you respond to it?
Personally, I wish I could be the one there.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for them, the troops. I know they're doing the right thing and a good job. I wish I could be there.
Because of the experience that you feel you know some
I
things?
know that these people have got a camaraderie that they'll never ever feel again when they get out of the service.
So that's what you really take away from Vietnam, is that camaraderie
Yes.
that you had.
Yes,
That connection with the guy next to you,
you bet.
and that's what you were concerned with. It wasn't a political issue or anything like that. It was staying alive along with your friends.
That's right.
Over in Vietnam.
I'll watch your back, you watch mine. And when you say that, it's just not talk, it's
And-
action.
And nothing else in your life compares to that.
No.
Yeah. That strong tie, that bond.
Well, your family.
Yeah.
I feel the same way for
Yeah.
my family. But,
Well, those people were family over there, right?
right, exactly. they were your brother, they were your son, you know?
Yeah.
And they looked out for you and you looked out for them.
And that's something that's hard to explain to people who've never been there.
And it's not because I want to hurt somebody that's not connected in
Right.
that way. It's because it happened.
Right.
And I love somebody else, you know, too.
Right.
But it's not that, I don't know how, just camaraderie. You just get it and you'll never lose it with them people. I'm still in touch with one of my friends from Vietnam now. He lives in Utah. Matter of fact, I called him about the Olympics. And he's been to a couple of events. He wants me to come out. He's been here to visit me.
Good.
So we were in the same gun in Vietnam.
Have you gone with the group to the Kokomo reunion?
Yes, I've been. I didn't make it last year, but I think I've made it like 6 or 7 years in a row before
Sure.
that.
Sure.
But now even that I can see in a different light.
Yeah. Well, we've been talking almost over an hour. Anything you want to end with? I mean, any thought, feeling, comment that you just want to end this with?
I haven't really thought about it, but off the top of my head, I just hope that when this thing is over in Afghanistan, that the government realizes what a troop goes through, a soldier goes through, and I wish they would have something to help this soldier get back on his feet into the society, because we never had that, and it hurt a lot of soldiers in Vietnam.
So for you, that's one of the biggest lessons
Yes.
about Vietnam, how quickly you left that battlefield and got pushed back into civilian life without a down period, an opportunity to debrief and talk with people.
Yes, without any counseling or anything.
Right.
And I thought I was strong and I could make it, and sometimes you find out you do need to talk to someone.
And you know, that's a comment that so many Vietnam veterans make about not having that opportunity to unwind from that experience. And you know, given what's happened in subsequent skirmishes and wars, the government has learned its lesson. I mean, they do seem to have this counseling and debriefing that takes place.
I hope so.
It's just too bad that so many Vietnam veterans didn't have that opportunity. Well, I want to thank you for sharing
Thank you.
with
I
us
appreciate you
about
having me out
this. Okay. Okay, we're done, Mike.